And welcome to Power Players.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got our guest here today, Kyle Janas, with the horns hanging from the window.
Yes, sir. Go Longhorns.
Texas Longhorns,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There you go. Well, see, I should have went to college there. Having a last name of Horn, I probably would have been very popular as a mascot. But anyway, all the way from San Diego, California. And how are you today, Kyle?
I'm good. Good. Hit my daily goal pretty early in the session. So
Nice.
Just hanging out now.
At least one of us did.
Happy to be here.
Cool. Now, if you can, give us a little background about yourself.
So background is been trading full-time about 8 years now. The bulk of that has actually been in options. My background is primarily in options. I began to trade futures a few years ago, actually from Topstep ads. I wanted to see if the strategy that I was deploying with SPY and SPX options applied directly to futures. And I was able to successfully do that through the Topstep combine process. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it as far as my trading is concerned. So now primarily focused on ES. I look for base hits, looking for anywhere between 5 to 10 points a day, and then shutting it down from there.
There you go. Let me ask you, what led you to pursue a career in trading? What got the bug started?
Honestly, it was back in college. A friend was doing some trading, and I'd always kind of had that interest in markets. It was not that I really started to pursue it full time until I discovered, there's kind of a double-edged sword, but until I discovered the leverage of options. And so I was working full time post college. I happened to have some options through an earnings announcement, and that hit really big, and I've been hooked ever since then.
All right. Trey, you got some questions there?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Kyle. Really appreciate it. Really quick, how do you stay? Walk me through your routine. How do you get started for the day? Like pre-bell, into the bell.
Sure.
Talk to me about your step-by-step for those that maybe are looking to get into a routine before they start trading. Perhaps even what do you do on a Sunday night or Monday morning before the week kicks off? Like today we have on a Monday.
Yeah. So Monday morning, first thing I always have to do is get some activity in, like physical activity. So I wake up.
So what'd you do today?
Today I hit chest and tricep in the gym.
Chest and tries, baby.
Yep. And from there, breakfast, pretty simple. I want to make sure I'm well fueled for the actual session. Okay. When I actually hit the desk, I'm going through all of the levels to make sure, where is the market at? Where am I actually interested in trading? Location is a big aspect of what I'm looking for in my particular edge. So I want to be involved kind of in the right areas. The level I was looking at today was the 4660 on ES. That happened to hit a few times. I was able to hit my goal through that. And I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. It's every day making sure I get some type of physical activity, wake the mind up, wake the body up, right. Then come into the morning with a full game plan of what I would like to see. I do kind of an emotional check-in before the session. All right,
what does that look like?
That looks like, all right, how am I feeling? Okay. How did I sleep? I evaluate my sleep score. I keep an Aura ring at all times pretty much. So that kind of gives you, I don't have it on right now. Okay, it's actually charging, but pretty much have that, evaluating what the score on the Aura ring shows versus how I'm actually feeling. And then that, for me, that's a big part of my risk management. I want to be able to, if the sleep wasn't great or something like that, put on less risk, or maybe just call it a no trade day. So you
do see a direct correlation between the quality of sleep and how your trading is, or can you
100%?
Can you ever pull off a good trading day on less than optimal sleep? Or the odds.
I mean, I try not to push the throttle on those days. That's more so a risk off day. I mean, the way I look at it is, there's a lot of sharp market participants.
Yes, there are.
If I'm not feeling 100%, then I know my edge is going to be diminished. I know most likely I'm going to be making decisions that are outside of my risk parameters. Mm-hmm. I know I may overlook some things. And so for me, that's just a day to be doing less, whether that means dropping size or just calling it a no trade day. I mean, the market is not going anywhere. I really don't feel the pressure to be, trying to stack points day in and day out. I really want to be looking for when I'm feeling my best, when I know my performance is really going to be there, and then when I actually have edge. That's the main thing, you know, trading at the level that I want to trade at.
You know, there's just too many traders that don't see that and the benefit of starting your day with a charged up, energized, positive mindset. And
100%.
you know, if you journal, and we talk about the checklist, we talk about obviously managing the account, managing yourself. And these are things that I mean, it sounds corny, and a lot of us are like, you know, even myself was like, what are you talking about?
No,
but
journaling's huge. I mean,
yes,
sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, I mean, that ties in with what I do pre-market, you know, the journaling from the end of day session. I'm looking at, all right, how did I perform? How did I trade in relation to what I wanted to see and the plan that I outlined for myself during that actual pre-market routine? And then from there, I can kind of say, all right, well, I missed on XYZ area. I need to focus on this for the next session. And that's a big part of improving my performance and just getting better as a trader.
Right. Right. How about your strengths and weaknesses? I know that we all have them, but it seems like you're pretty tied up in moving forward with your strengths. But you know, we all have weaknesses. What are some of your weaknesses?
Weakness for me would probably be, let's see. Well, my strengths are definitely, I know when to shut it down on the day. And so weakness for me would be trading when I'm not feeling like that 100%, or when I feel like, all right, I need to, and any type of emotional thing where if I feel like I need to make money or something like that on the day can really kind of deteriorate what I'm looking for and my performance on the session. And so try and really hone in on the discipline aspect of things and really just staying within my framework. If I stay within my process, if I stay within my framework, I kind of built guardrails to protect me from myself, for lack of a better phrase there. And so, you know, through that journaling process, I'm able to identify the weaknesses and kind of create a rule around it. So as long as I stay within my rule framework, can tend to avoid some of those bigger losses that I've eaten in the past, which,
right. You know, I tell you, it just sounds like your management is very good. And the commitment to yourself as a trader, where you're not doing things because they're in front of you. You're doing things because you know you can benefit from them. So that's a smart trader, everyone. That is, you know, going through the list, putting it on paper, journaling, not only the trades, but journaling oneself. That's going to get you through some of the
Eddie,
tough
I mean, I've been on the backside of not doing those activities, and I've learned that lesson the hard way plenty of times.
Oh, sure.
Through losing real money. And so you only need to learn that one so many times before you say, all right, well, I either need to develop a framework that can actually, you know, work for me here, or I just need to throw in the towel. And for me, quitting was not an option. And so I was like, all right, well, what do I actually need to do to make this work with consistency?
Right. And, you know, I'm always saying once bitten, twice shy, but sometimes it takes, you know, twice bitten, 3 times bitten, 4 times bitten. And then you've got to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing here? And you've got to put a stop to it. Right. I mean, it's all about you, the trader. Nobody else is going to do it but you. And I think when we find out what we need to do, how we need to correct it, how we need to fine tune, we're gonna get traction. We're not gonna be pulling back, going trading left to right. We're gonna be moving forward.
100%. Could not agree more.
Just real quick, guys. Yeah, we got nothing going on in the S&Ps, NASDAQ. Pretty much trading sideways a little bit. Tilt 50-50. So nothing going on on that front. So hey, well, quick, Kyle, how do you stay up to date on the market news, trends, news? Where do you go for your information? Where do you go for your levels, your analysis? Where do you go for that? Where are some good tools and resources that you can tell the audience on where they might not be looking?
So as far as headlines, I'm usually just looking at breaking news Twitter accounts. Walter Bloomberg is a super popular one that I'm looking at. You can also get a lot of news from websites like Seeking Alpha. As far as, what I'm looking for within the market, I'm not really, I like trading volatility. I like trading active markets, but I'm not like a headline trader. Okay. I'm focused purely on price action, and where I get my levels is directly from the chart. So I take a top-down approach. I'm looking at daily time frame down into the 30 or 15 minute for kind of more of an intermediate look, grabbing my levels from there. Just very basic supply and demand. I don't use any indicators or anything like that. It's just purely based on, again, areas of supply and demand, and then watching how price reacts to those levels and seeing, all right, do I have something here? And the reason I like to use those levels is because it tells me pretty quickly where I'm wrong. And so if I'm, if I need to bail, the loss is not going to be something extraordinary. I could get out with maybe a paper cut and then kind of look for the next trade.
That's smart stuff. How about your strategies? What strategies do you use most frequently that you could share with us?
Pullbacks. I trade pretty much exclusively pullbacks into my level of interest. I don't trade any extension moves. I'm not buying fresh highs. I don't short new lows. I'm looking exclusively for pullback entries. And it kind of ties in with what I mentioned earlier about knowing quickly where I'm wrong. So going back to, that would actually be a big weakness for me that I had identified in my trading, was anytime I was involved at kind of session highs or session lows going with the direction of the move, that was a big weak area for me, and I had to cut that out. Buying fresh session highs, it's very, at least for me personally, it was very hard to say, all right, well, where am I wrong on this trade? Most breakouts in the index, at least that I have in my experience, fail. And so really treating the index as a mean reversion product and getting
mean reversion product. What is that?
So essentially fair value. The index is going to be also, like for today, we're oscillating around 46.60. And so if I'm grabbing longs at 46.66, that's not a good area for me to be getting involved. I need to identify that level that it's going to revert to. In this case, I had 46.60 on watch looking at the H4 contract, and that's where I wanted to be long. So I can grab longs at 60 and a half, 61, and my risk is just extremely tight.
Okay, so to that trade, so you're saying 60s was your level. Where do you put your stops? If you're getting long, you're just trading exclusively pullbacks. Where are you parking your stop? Obviously beneath 60, but how far beneath 60?
Yeah, so I'll give it maybe a 1 point breather.
That tight.
If 59 starts to fail, I'm pretty much, the trade is either going to stop me out, and maybe it will go in my direction. So a big part of what I look for is whether or not I did just kind of, maybe the low got swept and it hit my stop and I'm looking for a re-entry, or it's just going to show acceptance below 46.60. And then it's like, okay, well, where's my next downside level? What do I want to see next?
So what will it take for you? Okay, since you exclusively, but you have a bias towards buying pullbacks. So how will you enter a short? Will you get short? Obviously you have to, right? If the market keeps breaking all day, what do you do? Are you just sitting on your hands, or are you able to find, sell rips, or like, how would you, if the market isn't rallying that day, how are you trading, or how are you going to attack the market on a down day?
On a down day, so I'll be looking to, well, great question. I'm primarily a trend trader. So the last 5-6 weeks, I've been focusing exclusively on longs. So the couple of down days that we have had, I'm usually sitting on my hands on those days, or looking for a test of a lower support level to grab a long. If we start, if the index starts to roll over and we're really showing repeated down days, like, plenty of the days we've seen this year, then I'll be looking to be shorting pops.
Okay.
All right. Hey, let me ask you about risk, managing risk in your trades. Now, it seems like you're pretty well tight, knowing when to say when. But for us that are trading, and we tend to let the market roll a little bit longer than we want it to, what's something you could share with us about the best way to manage risk?
Well, definitely have your level up front. know where you want to cut that thing, I mean, that is paramount. I don't get into, and what I would suggest to newer traders is don't go into a trade without first identifying your risk level. And then the other thing that really helps me is to just put the hard stop right in the broker. And so in scenarios like just using the trade example from today, the 4660 longs, I'm putting the hard stop in the broker so that, you know, if some news hits or you know, if I'm not watching, maybe I'm looking at another tab or something, just letting the trade work, it just takes me out. I don't have to think about it too much. That's a system that has always worked much better for me as far as actually keeping the stop versus, I know some traders use like a mental stop. That's never really, I can't do the mental stop thing because I'll just let it go. I'll just let it go. So hard stop in the broker on futures. And then the other aspect is I like to keep a hard cutoff rule. And so if I have 3 consecutive losses in a row, I'm automatically done for the day. I have to close the broker.
Same. Yep. 3 strikes and you're out.
Yep. I've never seen anything good, at least in my trading, come past 3 losses. I have seen it get much worse though.
It's essentially telling you that your strategy's off today. The market isn't agreeing with you, right? Or you're not on the right. Something's off that tells you this ain't your day. You got to come back tomorrow, essentially, right?
100%. Yep.
Does that stubbornness, have you ever found yourself getting too stubborn or have you ever found yourself breaking that rule?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
all the broke that rule, Kyle.
Probably, I think the last big rule break I had was February.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I ate for me, it was a pretty significant loss, ate a $14,000 loss. And so that was quite uncomfortable. And it's just a reminder that don't break the rules.
All right, so let's talk about that. If you don't, I don't want to, get stuck in the mud here, but how did you come back from that? How do you deal with that? What do you do? Do you step away? Do you get right back in the saddle? What do you do after a big losing day like that? That's significant losses. You know it's going to take you time to get it back. It's going to take you effort, emotional capital, physical capital. It's going to take a lot to get back. So what do you do to get back on the horse and recover for something like that?
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that we can all relate to. We all take big losers. I had a shitty trading day on Friday. Michael did too. He came back, bounced back very strong. I was a little bit more cautious in my approach. So how do you approach the following trade, the following week after, suffering some losses?
Yeah, that's a great point. So, number one, I'm going to be carrying, I know that I'll likely be carrying emotional baggage into the following session.
It's inevitable, Kyle, right?
Yeah. So I try and kind of ground myself in, all right, what am I actually looking to do today? And number one, I try to get out of the mentality that this is going to be made back quickly. Like a 14K day, for me to bounce back the next day, extremely unlikely. So number one, I get that out of my mind entirely. Okay. Number two, I'm looking at, all right, well, how can I redevelop some confidence, some conviction in what I'm doing after just taking a massive loss like that?
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do? I just need to attempt to trade well. I don't even need to post a green.
What does trading well look like?
For me, it just looks like following my rules, following my framework. If I follow my rules after a big loss day, even if I have another red day, to me, that's a good day. So that's what I'm looking to get back into. I'm looking to cut off that emotional baggage, that big loss day where I may have broken some rules, and just get back into the process that I have for myself, the rule framework that I have for myself.
Kyle, let me ask you about emotional control. How important is emotional control in trading for you? And how do you keep it steady? How do you maintain it?
Well, it's extremely important, but the reason I'm able to, at least in my mind, the reason I'm able to maintain it and kind of stay on the horse so well is because I just have a trust in my system. My system has shown that I have real edge. I think a lot of newer traders, they actually put the cart before the horse in terms of emotion versus actually having a strategy that works. And so no amount of emotional control is going to make you a profitable trader if you don't have a strategy with edge, at least over the long term. And so, if you actually know that, all right, this strategy can make money over the long term, then at least in my mind, at least for me, it's been much easier to have that emotional control. Like, all right, when I stay within my framework, when I follow my rules, I will make money over, a large enough sample size. It's just a matter of protecting me from myself and actually staying within the rules, staying within that framework. So it's huge. It's huge. Anytime I've let emotions kind of bleed into my trading, those are days where I'm going to blow right through the rules. And so, it's a matter of just, regardless of how you're feeling, just respecting the system, at least for me.
Yeah, you're pretty process oriented, are you? As they're saying here in the chat, it's sticking out. It's coming very apparent that you're very process oriented. Are you process oriented in all aspects of your life, or are you just pretty much trading? Are you a similar person outside of the markets as you are to when you're in the markets? I guess is my question.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I live a pretty disciplined lifestyle, and so yeah, I have found, staying on my routine outside of trading kind of bleeds into my trading. My personal opinion is that your outside life will bleed into your trading. So if you're having issues with a spouse, if you're having issues with family, if you have heavy emotion in one area of your life, there is a good chance, at least from what I've experienced, that you can kind of lash out with those emotions in the market. And so that's something I'm also very cognizant of. I don't like to, if I'm having any type of issue outside of trading, just totally
okay.
unrelated
All right, Kyle,
I
agree. Sorry to interrupt, but we're all human, right? We all have lives outside of trading. We have family, we have friends, pets, whatever, what have you. And inevitably, life is going to come at you, right? It's not going to be all roses and rainbows.
Yeah.
So when something does happen, for instance, say, I don't know, my girlfriend breaks up with me, so to speak, and you got that going on with you, or my dog dies, something like that. How do you just simply not trade? Like, you have to trade. This is a job, right? You have to continue to produce income. How are you able to compartmentalize that, or are you just accept the grief and then try to switch it off when you get in the markets? Because I find that I personally have trouble with that when outside events, outside the market do take place and they are stressful. Holiday times could be a little stressful. It can sometimes bleed into my trading. How are you able to keep the two separate?
Great question. So you touched on something that was really important there. I don't think any trader should be trading for an income if they feel like they need to make the money. So at least my personal opinion is that you need to have some savings or some nest egg that you feel like you're okay, because anytime I have felt like I need to make money in the market, I don't. I just end up losing more. And so for me, on those days where I do have that, we're human. Yep. When I do have that heavy emotional baggage, it's just, hey, I'm not trading today.
Really, just simply trading. Just off. You shut it off.
Yeah, I'll still show up. Show up, and I'll do, the prep work that I talked about. I'll watch the levels, but like I kind of said at the start of this, I've been on the backside of pretty much every mistake that you can make in the market, and I just know that, all right, this is not going to be productive for me long term. And here's what I try and do.
Hit me.
I try at the
we may have lost them. Oh, you there?
There he is.
Cool. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just saying at the start of a session where, I may be feeling emotional or something like that, I just try and project myself out into the end of day review. And the question I ask myself is, all right,
sorry, go on.
If I place a trade today and it fails, how is future me, 8-hour me from me, going to feel about this particular action? And if I feel like I'll be pissed off, it's much easier for me to say, no, I'm not going to trade today.
Man, you got some perspective, Kyle. That's this is all experience learned. There's no way you could have just come in and say, I'm going to be this type of trader with this type of perspective, correct? This is all learned from experience. You've touched the stove one too many times and realized it's hot.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I've burned the hand. I've burned the hand for sure.
Very good. Stand by. Very good.
Kyle, let me ask, moving forward, we're all learning as each and every day goes by. We're all continuing to grow. What are you hoping to continue in your work in trading that you want to see expand and grow right now?
I'd like to make an impact on more traders. Honestly, it's not necessarily even related to trading. I do have my own trading goals, incrementally adding size goals pretty much all traders are going to share. But for me, I would love to make an impact on, a wider group of developing traders. I mean, like I said, I've had every issue. I've made every mistake. And so if I can do interviews like this, if I can come on and kind of share some of those lessons, to me, that's a win. And I love that.
Tell us about, speaking of that, tell us about Opinicus Holdings. And we got the link. If we could put the link in our chat.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're really loving you, Kyle.
Great. Yeah. So Opinicus, I mean, this is pretty much, it started as essentially an outlet for me to share these lessons, share the analysis. And I mean, that's the gist of it. It's not like a signals thing or anything like that. I don't do signals. It's just a community to share lessons and share analysis and kind of, share anything related to index trading, options trading. So that's pretty much that's Opinicus right there.
Okay. And we've got the link in there. If you can post the link in our YouTube chat, that would be great. Okay. Let me ask you another thing here about what you think. I mean, there's so many people out there and people that are watching what's going on here and hopefully taking notes. What do you think are some good qualities that make a good trader?
A willingness to look yourself in the mirror is kind of, in my opinion, one of the most important things. I talk to a lot of developing traders who just have an unwillingness to do any type of review. Yep. And I think part of that is because it forces you to acknowledge your errors. It forces you to, acknowledge some of your issues. That's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so, I think if you are willing to do that, you can, the sky is really the limit. You just have to be willing to actually say, all right, well, here's where I messed up. And then from that, say, okay, well, what can I do to improve here? Then beyond that, the kind of the main thing, at least again, from my perspective and experience, is just, setting what I call guardrails, like the process for yourself, and staying within that process. If you can do that, I mean, you'll make money in markets.
Now, you told us about the bad trade you had. How about the best trade that you've ever made?
The best trade I've ever made has actually still been in options. I've not been able to beat that day yet with futures. It's definitely a work in progress. And so it's not, I exclusively trade ES these days. And so it's something I'm working towards, shooting for, that kind of mid 5-figure day. Haven't hit it yet, but like I said, just trying to get there.
Well, there's a goal that you have, and I'm sure, Kyle, I'm sure that you're going to hit that. But stay positive. That's all you got to do. You got to come to work, clean mindset, focus, and you're doing all the right things. And who's to say that it might be tomorrow? Who's to say that it might not be for a few months? But what you're doing, I hope a lot of our listeners take up on that and practice that. It's so very important. I'm always saying it starts up here. It starts upstairs, and before you turn your monitors on, before you turn your computer on. So that's good. 100%. But
well, the thing I would add to that is, I don't come into the market looking for that big day. Like I said at the start, I come in looking for what I call my piece, right? 5 to 10 points. If I can hit that, I'm happy. Anything else is just a bonus. And so it kind of ties in with the systematic approach. It's very much so not a home run game for me. It's more of a base hit type of game. And so that's my focus.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'll take a $50 winner, pat myself on the butt, and say, "Hey, is there another opportunity?"
Right. Exactly.
Right.
50-day winners, they add up. One day it's a 50-day winner, the next day it's a 250-day winner.
Yeah. You put it in the perspective.
They roll up. We talk about the one big trading day. Yes, we'll have that one big trading day. But how often those come around in an actual trading year? 1, 2, maybe 3 times. During COVID was much different. But these trading, what we're in right now, is a much more normal trade. The volatility is down. We've been range bound in the ES. We've been looking at these. I guess today we're finally starting to see some prices we haven't seen in the last couple months as we continue to uptick here. But yeah, as you see, staying range bound, you have to stay focused and just take the base hits, as we say.
100%.
Right. Right. Now, before you go, I got two questions for you.
Sure.
One, I want to know, for those that are listening, what advice would you give to someone who is new to trading or is having a problem moving forward?
Definitely, it all comes out in the review. It all comes out in the review. If you're having a problem moving forward, you need to know why. You need to know why. And if you can't identify why, then you need to really be digging into the results and getting a grip on your actions in the market. I mean, are you taking trades and they're instantly wrong? That could be an analysis issue. Are you taking trades and they're in profit and then they end up being stopped? That could be a trade management issue. And so for me, every issue, it all comes out in the review process. And that's like the key to moving forward.
All right. Appreciate that. All right, my friend, as I promised, before we went on, I got a fun question for you. Now,
Sure.
I've got 20 questions. Give me a number between 1 and 20, and I will ask you that question.
7.
7. Lucky 7, Mickey Mantle. There we go. What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Wow. Keep going. That's it.
Yeah.
Give up and never surrender. Now, let me ask, who'd you get that piece of information from?
My dad.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely my dad.
Same thing with a lot of our fathers, uncles, older brothers, mothers, sisters. More or less they have experienced something. Like my dad always used to tell me, haste makes waste. Haste makes. I was, a kid just running around being goofy and never taking the time to understand what he says. But as we get older, we understand what they're saying and what they mean. So, but Kyle, I appreciate you being with us here today. Any closing comments before we move on?
No, actually, know where you're wrong and manage your risk. It's kind of the main thing. Do that review.
Who are you wrong? Manage your risk. I like that. Hey, real quick before we sign off, NASDAQ starting to take a peek at the highs, making new highs or peaking at the highs of the day. S&Ps aren't too far off. Kyle, you said you might be done for the day. If we continue to make new highs or continue to break out of this range, will you get back in the market or have you met your daily goal?
No, I'm at my daily goal. After,
Nice.
After I say I'm done, I'm done. I've never, going back to the rules thing, whenever I dip back into the market after I've closed the broker or said that I'm done, it's never a net positive.
Nope, it's not. Oh, we're hanging on every word. Kyle.
Never a.
Kyle. There
There
you
he
are.
is.
Hey, there we are.
You're saying.
Yeah, I was saying, anytime after I said I'm done and I close the broker, it's almost never a net positive for me to reopen it and to get back in and get involved with some late afternoon action. So I'm firmly done. I will not be reopening the broker until tomorrow morning. And that's what it is.
All right. Well, you're smart. You've committed. And, one thing that I see a lot is, you hit your personal loss limit, you're done for the day, but oh wait, one more trade. And what you're doing is you're digging the hole deeper. So commit to yourself and you'll see a lot more success. But Kyle, can we get you back here again with us?
Sure, absolutely. Love to be on.
We'd love to have you, and I appreciate your time that you spent with us. And I hope
thanks for joining us. The people really liked you. Don't be a stranger around here. You got to come back on.
All right, will do. Thank you, guys.
All right. Kyle, take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.